Joining me now is mining analyst Mamokgethi Malopiane. Thank you for being with us. So what is your first gut feel?
Well, one of the things that we are seeing unfolding within announcing this, with the minister announcing this charter, is that where it was meant to bring certainty, it hasn't. Instead, it has created more uncertainty. And on top of that, we are seeing that the private sector of mining, through their mother body or representing body, the Chamber of Mines, not only are they rejecting it because they're saying the DMR, this was a unilateral decision of the DMR. Not only are they rejecting it, they are going to challenge it through the courts. So here we have a charter that was meant to finally allay the fears within the industry. It has done the opposite. It has literally opened Pandora's box, and we are now going to face an industry that is more worried about what is going to happen with the charter.
I like that analogy, and for years we've seen this this rift in the relationship between the mining sector and government, and it seemed to get better under a former minister, Ngwako Ramatlhodi, and everyone was saying, great, we're all on the same page. Now they seem to be chasms apart, and the Chamber of Mines says that there was no consultation. What talks were there leading up to this, and what should have happened?
Your viewers would recall that the charter was put up for comments and review last year. So the Chamber went this afternoon, when they were responding to the charter that's put forward, was saying the last talks we had with DMR, formal talks about the charter, was last year, and the last meaningful engagement on anything relating to the mining industry was in March, meaning within the past 2 months they haven't talked to each other. It really speaks to a broken down relationship between those who are legislating the industry, and so I do not see how they are going to work together moving forward, even more so given the contents of the charter in terms of 8% benefit to the community, 8% to the workers. The contentious issue, of course, is that it had moved from 26% ownership to 30% ownership. And if you listen to that briefing of the Chamber of Mines, all on the table, all leaders of respective sectors on the table in the chamber were saying, this is new, we haven't seen it, we've seen it in the last for 40 minutes or 50 minutes. So it really speaks to a broken down relationship.
Some of the reaction has been interesting. Some of my black colleagues, for instance, are saying, what could be wrong with this? We're upping the quotas, the ownership to 30%. New deals will have to involve significant partners, black partners, 1% turnover to BEE partners, 8% to shareholders. What could be wrong with all of this when we need transformation?
There really is nothing wrong in transforming the mining sector, and I always emphasize that perhaps given the historical scar and the lines of scars that the mining industry is known for exploitation, it really must transform. I do think the argument is that the manner in which it's being carried out, and yes, to an average person they would say, why is it that in a country of a black majority you're talking about 30% of black ownership? Why couldn't it be 70% ownership or 80% ownership? And those are contentious issues. But within the broader picture, they are saying, do not forget that with the legacy that we have, and the Chamber of Mines is going to struggle to justify why they mustn't transform to the numbers that are put forward, because most of the people are saying it is far little. But we always have to remember we are playing, our economy plays out in a broader globalized economy. So it's not just focused only on us. So if we are going to change things drastically, always look back to how are they going to impact us in the near future. I did pose a question to the chamber this afternoon to say, what does this mean for you as the chamber and DMR? Is the relationship broken? What does this mean for jobs? Are we about to see retrenchments? And the answer from the new president of the chamber said, in his answer, he said, without a doubt, you saw when a little policy uncertainty, what impact it had in the industry and the jobs that shed. 75,000 jobs have been lost so far this year, in the past 5 years. Yeah. So he said, it is without a doubt, it will have a negative impact. Retrenchments will follow soon.
I always think of it, if you're a global player, a global mining industry, so now you want to sink a new mine in South Africa, say there's an incredible opportunity in South Africa, you have to give up 51%, you have to go to your shareholders all around the world and say we need to trust our partners in South Africa, they will take 51%. I guess, unfortunately, it means that if you have other options, you'll probably go for the other options. My question to you is, can we as South Africa go it alone without the big global miners if we are really deterring global investment?
We can't, because for two reasons, Francis. The industry is a cash-intensive industry. You will have to have deep pockets to go at it alone.
Billions for some of these things. Yeah.
From the minute they
and the
they
know-how and the history.
Yes, absolutely. But the challenge within South Africa's private sector of mining, I have always harshly, by the way, commented on them to say, you cannot want to prescribe to those who were disadvantaged how transformation must be rolled out, what transformation must be. And even though the chamber feels very aggrieved of not being consulted, I feel they were playing to the gallery. I feel they could have said, let's try and talk after you have done this. Let's, as DMR, let's try and talk behind the scenes. And if that failed, then only take that step. I think it's critical that the transformation part, particularly in that sector, given its legacy, given the scars that are seen all over the economy, all over little towns, it's critical that it must transform. But the chamber cannot prescribe how transformation must be carried out. At the same time, policymakers, that is government, will have to factor in that it is no longer what it used to be, the mining industry. It might still be a significant contributor to a GDP, but it is no longer the it industry. It also plays out now in a much wider global economy. So as they are putting in policies, they have to factor in that. And sometimes when you read and look at our policies in mining, they always feel like they're personal. They always feel like they are political and do not look at the broader.
Do you feel like they're punishing
picture.
in a way?
In a way, they always look like they are on a path of, I will show you that I can do that. And on the other hand, the chamber also will say, but you cannot tell us what to do. So here you have two stakeholders absolutely at loggerheads with each other and cannot find a way forward.
My final question, because this is so political, especially when some people are calling for full nationalization of mines. So there's almost pressure on government to be strong with the sector. On the other hand, the Chamber of Mines is always pleading poverty, and some people are suspicious. Are these mines that say they are struggling, are they really struggling? Because some people think they're cooking the books. You know, you're still making huge profit off the backs of workers, and executives are going home and sitting pretty.
Yes, and there lies in the challenge, and you see it in the callous manner.
What's the true picture?
And you see it in the I'll come to that, but you see it in the arrogance and the callous manner in which a CEO can say, but I'm being paid what I earn when workers are striking. And that speaks to the total disconnect from the reality of the workers that make the mining industry work. And so always, because of it's a fact we cannot run from. The role it played in the previous government, because of its historical legacy, mining sector is always looked at with suspicion, and rightly so, because they have learned from the past. And so even now, when we know globally, when you look at how platinum is being hammered, when you look at how gold is struggling, when you look at that investors are taking their money and going to mine at a cheaper area, mine in other countries and not come and invest there, even then, there is always that long answer question of, but you made billions in the past, so you cannot now say you are poor. You have made billions in the past, and on top of that, you seem to be wanting to prescribe to us what transformation is. And I think there lies in the challenge, Francis.
All right, this is such a difficult issue. It's going to play out. Thank you so much for your time, Mamokgethi Molopiane, and it will play out on the markets and